I share that with you because I literally just filmed another video and I did the same exact thing. And when I filmed that one, the time was 4 o'clock in the morning. It's 4:44 in the morning as I'm filming this. It feels like temperature of 11 degrees outside, and I've been out here for almost an hour and I'm not even all that damn cold. My blood's boiling, but that's for something totally different. Folks, it's been a couple of days since I've shared a video with you guys, and it's been a little bit of change taking place in my personal life, and I'll share that in an upcoming video. But make no mistake, I need to film this and share this with you here today. Maybe you've already seen this. Maybe somebody else has already covered this. I have to cover this because this hits home for me, especially. I think to myself, who would see a video like this? So let me go ahead and start off by saying hello, Virginia Department of Corrections, because I know you watch my videos and you were probably waiting for this one. Another black eye for the Dabinda. My mind is turning to mush. Another black eye for the Virginia Department of Corrections taking place right now, folks. And again, this strikes a chord with me and hits home because a major story is coming to us out of Indian Creek Correctional Center. I served 2.5 years there, the last 2.5 years of my prison sentence when I served 7 years. And I've talked about this level 2 therapeutic community, which focuses on a lot of things like behavior modification, therapeutic community stuff, and, drug rehabilitation or treatment. It's not really treatment, but they do focus on addiction and things like that. It's a program prison. A prison where you would maybe imagine that, the drug usage there and contraband getting into the prison wouldn't be as much, considering it's a therapeutic community. They like to refer to it as. However, when I served my last 2.5 years at that prison, getting there, I would quickly recognize that prison had more drugs in it than a little bit, maybe more than most prisons. And it kind of makes sense, right? Because you think if a lot of dudes are there for drug problems, they want to get the drugs in there the most. I'll never forget sitting in group one day, watching a dude with a freaking needle in his arm fall out of his little plastic blue chair onto the floor because that shit was hitting whatever he had just intravenously shot into his body. I was blown away, to say the least. Like, holy shit, this is a drug prison. And Buddy is nodding out into the floor at a place like this with a needle in his arm. I shouldn't laugh about it because there's nothing to laugh about. And in fact, what's taking place there now is quite serious. And it's not just your run-of-the-mill people getting jammed up for getting the pack in. Folks, we are talking about a major scale drug operation and seizure that just took place at Indian Creek Correctional Facility in Chesapeake, Virginia. Folks, let me share my screen because that'll be the easiest way for me to do this and get this to you quickly. And a headline that reads, former correctional officer arrested in connection to large-scale drug operation in Chesapeake. Again, massive black eye. What are these little bullet points right here? They say $200,000 drug operation at Indian Creek Correctional Center. Police arrested both Betty Hoyer, Michael Hoyer, and Crystal something, Crystal Clay. Clay is a former VADOC corrections officer. $200,000 drug bust took place at Indian Creek. I'll never forget the glory days, the good old days. Joe sitting in there with my feet kicked up on a rack, crushing up a pack just because. Can't even remember that ramen noodle rap song that I wrote. But I'll never forget all of the war stories dudes would share about having kilos out there in the street and Bugattis and Maseratis. Polar opposites. But yeah, man, here's a situation where it seems like that was taking place in real life. $200,000? How much shit did they actually seize? Let's read more and learn because I don't know. I also want to say this real quick. Griff hit me up yesterday. Shout out to you, Griff. Sharing this story with me first. I was knee deep in something completely else that I'll share about at a later date when I received that message from Griff telling me about this story. And I also received a message from somebody else, and I'll share that too. As if I already don't got enough going on. Matter of fact, let me just go ahead and share that message that I received first. I had a woman who wanted to do some video work and do an interview and talk about what was going on at Indian Creek. And I believe what she wanted to share about was the fact that they don't offer MAT treatment. Like, they don't let people get Suboxone in prison when they need it. And, you know, I would get busy and I would lose contact with this woman. And let me just share with you the first message that I get from her last night. And mind you, last night was the right time for this to come through because I was already dealing with some other stuff. So, as if I wasn't already going through it enough, I get this message that says, "You probably forgot about me. I really counted on you. I saw your local news tonight. Our story will air on Prison Riot Radio tomorrow, and all I wanted was you to hear us because you were at Indian Creek. I guess my loved one was not important enough, and now look at what he faces." Lady, let me say this first. I ain't no Superman. Take this shit to Josh over at Lockdown. He's doing way better than I am. Take it to Ian Bick, for God's sakes. You got no idea what I'm dealing with right now. But that's a time for another thing. A thing for another time. Mushy mind. Your boy is. Yeah, that was nice. Thanks. Chesapeake, Virginia, 3 people, including a former corrections officer, were arrested Tuesday in connection to a large-scale drug operation worth more than $200,000 at Indian Creek Correctional Center in Chesapeake, says the Virginia Department of Correction. On September 8th, 2024, Betty Jo Hoyer and Michael Norman Hoyer visited the facility to see their son, who was an inmate there. According to VA DOC, the couple concealed a large amount of bufenorine, and naxalone. I have no idea what that is. Neither one of those two things. Naxalone strips, methamphetamine, and tobacco into the correctional center. The couple concealed a large amount of all of that and somehow got that into the facility. Those were the parents of the guy who was there. Parents are doing way too much these days, you know? Maybe they were all getting rich and, you know, the risk was worth the reward. Probably at this point, it's certainly not. I don't know who this correctional officer is, and I'm hoping right now I can share with you pictures of all 3 of these individuals. How did they all come together? Hopefully I can still find those images. Was the guard the person working the front desk, like who searches people coming into the facility? Was this all super orchestrated and all of that? How did this get caught? Well, Indian Creek surely has a lot of people snitching. So somebody's probably getting an extra hot dog tray for all of this. The Hoyers later admitted to bringing the drugs after VA DOC recovered the drugs and launched an investigation. Oh my God, your son is an idiot. Drugs and contraband have absolutely no place in our facilities, said VA DOC Director Chad Dotson. That's the new director of the DOC. This guy's interesting to me. Virginia Department of Corrections has a YouTube channel, and this guy's trying to, I don't want to say he's trying. I'm seeing him doing like little podcast videos with prisoners. I think it's the craziest thing. The world's changing, all that good stuff. But, you know, who knows? I don't know anything about this guy. I remember hearing stuff like maybe he was on the parole board or some shit like that. I can't remember. I think that's where he came from. I want to thank the certified police officers. What? I want to thank the certified police officers? Are you talking about the cadres, the inmate police? You're certified. Sorry, again, I'm cracking jokes at something that there should be no jokes about. I want to thank the certified police officers and the VA DOCs, the OLAs, for their dedication to this case and many others. I also thank the correction officers at Indian Creek who contributed to this investigation. This was a significant drug and contraband seizure, and their work should be commended by all who value public safety in our Commonwealth. I just got to say this. These guys were creaming their frickin' pants, getting the opportunity to orchestrate and carry out a massive drug bust. You know, they mentioned the 3 people who got arrested, the parents. You know, I hate to say this. I don't give a damn how it sounds. Matter of fact, I don't hate to say this. I should say, I don't give a damn how this sounds. You ain't shit, inmate dude, who had your parents bring this shit up here to you for your addiction issues. Your parents are probably doing decent time for this. Does that register to him? Probably not right this second. Well, maybe it does. He's probably feeling sorry for himself, and he's sorry about this situation right now because they got caught. But buddy, you ain't shit for this. To get your parents jammed up because of your own selfish desires, I just can't respect that at all. But who knows? Maybe they were getting high too, and everybody was just having a grand old time with this. How do you even get $200,000 worth of those strips? I have no idea. That's a lot of dope going up into the prison. The former VA DOC corrections officer Crystal Shannon Clay, who was arrested and charged with delivery, was also arrested and charged with delivery of drugs to an inmate in relation to the investigation. Active investigation. DOC has not provided any further information at this time. There's another story right here. Same situation. Inmate parents, former correction officers charged in connection to drug operation at Indian Creek. Let's see if there's anything different here. Yeah, they do have this. They say, in addition, the parents also concealed methamphetamine worth an estimated $10,000 and tobacco, which is contraband, at the department facilities. Department staff later recovered the drugs after a department investigation. The Hoyers reportedly admitted to bringing and concealing the drugs at the facility. Crystal Shannon Clay, now a former VA DOC corrections officer, was also arrested and charged with delivery of drugs to an inmate in connection with the investigation. Additional charges are pending for both inmates and civilians, the department said. So let's try to take from this what we can. They said that this took place in September of last year. The story's just coming out now because I'm guessing everybody's been charged at this point. So what happens? Some kind of a way through visitation, these parents are able to get these drugs to this guy. Did the parents give the drugs to the guard? The guard delivered them to the inmate. That's plausible. I hate to speculate because I get bodied anytime that I'm doing so, but I'm just trying to understand it for myself and think out loud with this a little bit. But in September, when this delivery takes place, however it takes place, the prison is at that point flooded. Staff probably recognizes this. Small little amounts of these drugs are probably caught on prisoners. Possession, maybe overdoses, if you can even overdose on these type of things, I don't know, are taking place. But I imagine another plausible scenario is somebody got caught some kind of a way and they started to backtrack through that. That guy told on this guy told on that guy, and maybe slowly but surely they got all the way up the food chain to the very top. Good on the correction officers if that's how this went, because that seems like that would take a lot of investigating and a lot of work. Were they undercover? This is a big deal. You know, this is a lot of drugs being caught up inside of the prison. They said $200,000 worth of drugs, $10,000 worth of meth and tobacco products. Are we talking street value? I mean, not even street value, but prison value, because there's a major difference. You know, $200,000 worth of drugs in prison is nowhere near $200,000 worth of drugs in the free world. But if it was, free world value, I mean, that is a ass load. And I wonder if any ass loads had to take place with this. Maybe it was the guard who shoved it up her ass, or the prisoner. I will never forget another wild time when I was at Indian Creek. We had a situation where there were a lot of drugs on the prison, nowhere near this amount, and dudes were getting high 1,000 miles an hour. And I can't remember exactly how it came to be. It had to be somebody must have told something like everybody in the housing unit is getting high. I was in 3B. They came in and they came in like a whirlwind. The guards did. And I'll never forget this. There's like 80 plus prisoners in these housing units. It's a lot of prisoners. So all of a sudden you see, because you got the big windows that look right out to the boulevard and to the center of the prison. And all of a sudden through them windows, you just see a line of guards coming, and they're coming into 3B. They're coming up the sidewalk, and you see them coming. And when they get in that little sally port between the outside door and the door that leads into the pod, and you got a sally port full of guards, all the prisoners start saying, they're coming, hey, they're coming. And man, it ain't a second later, these guards are coming through that door, and they are flipping tables and chairs, and they're talking about lockdown, everybody get back to your bed area. Lockdown. And they set up all these tables in the front like they're barricading themselves between us and them, and they say nobody go into the bathroom. And everybody is freaking out. Dudes are running around. They're trying to chug water. They're trying to flush their system in 5 minutes. Dudes are shitting in bags. Their stomachs is screwed up. They have the bubble guts. They know they are about to get busted. I've shared about this particular incident before on After Prison Show. I've even drawn cartoons. I even drew cartoons while I was in prison about this particular incident. They came in, it wasn't even a shakedown that they did. They came in and did a shakedown with the piss test. They piss test the entire 80 plus housing unit, 80 plus prisoner housing unit. And dudes are going in there and they're freaking out because they can't piss. And these guards are right over your shoulder looking down at your wee-wee. Sorry, I got a 2-year-old. That's how we talk. And they're talking shit to you. You better use the bathroom. We had a dude in a wheelchair. Oh, my God. What was his name? Griff, help me out with this. God, I want to say his name was Frank or some shit like that, but it wasn't Frank. It was, what was dude's name in the wheelchair? He had the clecectomy bag, and he talked shit to all the prisoners, and there was a dude that actually knocked him out in the wheelchair. That was crazy. Young kid. They had him in the bathroom talking about, you're going to stand up to pee. It's like, dude, I'm in a wheelchair. It was unbelievable. Like, 15 or 20 dudes ended up going to the hole for pissing dirty. I didn't piss dirty. But, man, when I tell you, it was a PTS-driven situation. Causing situation, I should say. I can imagine things like that have definitely taken place throughout this investigation that led to this apprehension of all of this, or to these arrests. A lot of times you'll hear sayings like, well, you can't be too smart, you're in prison. Or things like, well, they're not in prison for being geniuses. I think that this is a really good example of that, especially if Buddy got caught with all of this shit, and now your parents are going to prison because of your addiction problems. Or maybe a greed for money. Maybe he didn't even have an addiction problem. Maybe he was just the dope man in prison. And if that's the case, he was certainly on some kingpin type shit up in there. He might not have had kilos, but having $200,000 worth of dope in a level 2 Virginia prison, shit, that's a lot. Virginia prison ain't like prison in a lot of other states. The cell phone shit, you don't see TikToks with prisoners in Virginia. And if you do, they're dressed up like Bad Bob, completely identities anonymous. Ain't nobody making music videos from prison in Virginia. They don't play here. They ain't playing the cell phones, and they definitely ain't playing this shit. Buddy's probably going to freaking Red Onion over this. Can you imagine that? And if you ain't going to Red Onion, you're going to a Max. Whoo, gosh almighty. You was living high on the hog at a level 2. Now you're going somewhere where there might be maggots in your food. Crazy situation. Definitely had to address this because of the fact that, I've been there. I know exactly what Indian Creek is. And, yeah, man, sad to see something like this, especially when the parents get jammed up. But, who's to know what their motives or reasons for doing this really were. Wanted to share this story with you. Had to do so super early. It's 5 o'clock now, and I'll go ahead and wrap this up. I got to continue on with my day. I've got a lot more to share with you guys, and I'm going to look forward to bringing that to you real soon. Hopefully I can get this video edited by 6:30 because it's off to the races after that. You guys have a great one. Thanks for taking the time to check this out. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did so, please leave a like and a comment letting me know exactly what you thought about this. And as always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world. Never take a moment for granted, and make the most of every day.